2 cities, 2 student-led protests, the same systemic betrayal. But somehow one gets labelled a good protest and the other a bad protest. So what even makes a protest good or bad? Well, a protest at its core is simply people coming together to demand change, question power, or call for accountability. So then what defines a good protest? Well, for the government, that would be no protest at all. Now you see far too many people on social media are busy waging one protest against another based on optics, tagging one as a pure protest and demonizing the other, ranking and calculating which protests deserve more sympathy, completely missing the point. Students have to protest to get the bare minimum. Now look at the agitation in Jharkhand. It is now on its 3rd week. It is against alleged paper leaks and irregularities in the Jharkhand Public Service Commission and Jharkhand Staff Service Commission recruitment exams. And what are the students demanding? Well, greater transparency, cancellation of some exams, and an independent CBI-led probe into alleged irregularities. The protest had escalated on August 10th when thousands of students marched towards the Jharkhand assembly and clashes broke out with the police, who used water cannons, tear gas and lathi charges, which will remind you of the scenes that emerged from Delhi on July 20th. Rewind back between June 6th and July 25, the Jantar Mantar protest led by the Cockroach Janata Party took aim at the then Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan over alleged irregularities in the NEET paper leak and other national exams. The demand was his resignation, and it escalated into a march to the parliament that ended in baton charges and tear gas. But if you look at it, both are at its core the same complaint. Young people who tried to do everything right, studied, showed up, paid the fees, and then discovering that the exam system itself was compromised. And institutions are stonewalling instead of investigating. And yet, instead of the shared grievances becoming the focus, the two protests ended up being judged on very different standards. Take this viral clip from Ranchi. It captures it in a single moment. A young protester pulls back a fellow demonstrator and says, "This is not Jantar Mantar, don't raise Azadi slogans." A few posters also laid out a strict code of conduct. No profanity, no political banners. And almost overnight, a section of the social media held up Ranchi as the gold standard of disciplined, patriotic youth, while painting Delhi's NEET protesters as unruly and anti-national. There were also videos being posted praising how the Ranchi protests were getting food donated from a langar, whereas the Delhi protests had biryani. Now, Devendra Mahto, who has become the face of the protest in Jharkhand, explicitly noted that they did not raise a single slogan against the government, used no other flag, and avoided political rhetoric, which reads less like organic protest character and more like protesters preemptively performing respectability because they know what gets a protest branded anti-national. So the sudden enthusiasm among certain people to champion Ranchi agitation as a model protest dilutes the cause of the protest itself. Because every minute spent arguing was Jantar Mantar secretly anti-national or is Ranchi's protest the right way of showing dissent is the minute not spent asking JPSC, JSSC or NTA why the same failures keep recurring. And well, the examining bodies end up becoming the biggest beneficiaries of the good protest, bad protest fight. It's a distraction. They didn't even have to manufacture themselves, just amplify. It lets the actual accused off the hook. It splits solidarity along partisan lines where people who would otherwise back the underlying demand end up either defending or attacking the protest based on which political camp it seems to serve rather than the substance of the exam fraud allegations. Yes, of course, there are differences in the protest. Jantar Mantar was unified with one focused demand, Pradhan's resignation. But Ranchi has two separate stages, multiple interest groups pushing different demands. Delhi's protesters were mostly Gen Z and Ranchi spans early 20s to early 40s given that the JPSC and JSSC age limit goes up to 35 to 40. But whether the backdrop is Jantar Mantar or Jaipal Singh Munda Stadium, the core story is not about flags, slogans or catering choices. It is about a generation locked out of its future by administrative ineptitude and corruption. Sorting them into good and bad agitators benefits only the compromised institutions themselves. And the actual demands stop being the story. What replaces it is a running commentary on flags, slogans, snack choices, and something as trivial as who showed up in what t-shirt.